Hello, everybody, and welcome back here to the Scoop and Score Football Show presented by Ball N Beatz Media, episode 28 of the Scoop and Score Football Show. Before we get into today's action, make sure you subscribe to the channel. You hit that push notification bell to stay up to date on all of our new videos, our shorts videos, our long form videos, all of them, okay? Go follow us on Instagram and Twitter and TikTok at Ball N Beatz Media. Follow us on Spotify. Listen to us on Apple Podcasts as well. Spencer, how has your week been?
It's been pretty good. It's been a pretty good week, not gonna lie. My baseball team blows, but other than that, things are great.
Well, that's good. See, here's the thing. I haven't watched any baseball yet, of course,
Oh
but
my!
I've paid attention to it. I at least made some trades in the fantasy baseball. Not trades. I actually made movements anyway. I dropped some guys. I picked
You're
some guys
active.
up.
I
I've
know
been a
you
little
weren't
active
that
here.
active last year, so
I've
I was wondering.
I've already been more active, I would say, this year, and I made like 3 moves. So I think that is a sign. Okay, maybe we're getting into the
Logan's
swing with
trying to win
baseball.
it all this year. He's trying to go the distance.
I'm trying to at least get more than 3 wins.
Take the throne from me.
I at least want 4 this year. But I do have to say this as a Guardians fan. At least Chase the Lauder exists. And Kyle Manzardo, I don't know what happened, bro. You were balling last year and you've fallen off a cliff.
I swear,
Um,
Cleveland could just never do anything, and they'll always win. It's so annoying.
It is annoying. It is annoying, and it's just like their football team. Just like their football team. Spencer, this week for the Scoop and Score Football Show, we have more buying or selling NFL draft scenarios I want to talk about. We're going to have to, as well, later on in the show, fix some rankings, okay? Simply
Mm.
because we did some earlier rankings back in February that we just need to fix up a little bit because at least one player is staying, which we know is officially official at this point.
Do you think John Allen Richter's going to make the top 10 now?
He might make the top 10. He might. And as well, we're just going to talk a little bit about some spring ball in college football as well. Let's start off with more buying or selling, though, with NFL draft talks because there's more scenarios that come up. I feel like the last week or so, I've seen a couple things mentioned. And here's a scenario I don't think no one has talked about here.
Mhm.
Buy or sell, no SEC players go in the top 10. Think about it. No SEC players go in the top 10 because you have Fernando Mendoza. Think about it with Arvell Reese, Sonny Styles, Carnell Tate, you could
Yeah,
argue,
the guys
David
and
Bailey, Francis Mauigoa, maybe a Spencer Fano, maybe even Caleb Downs could sneak in there.
I'm
Ruben
gonna
Bain
I'm
Jr.
I'm gonna sell. Because I believe that Mansour Delane, if he's there at 10, would be taken by the Bengals. Or even 9 to Kansas City if he's available and Ruben Bain's not there. Because I believe he is a top 10 pick. And since he's from LSU, I do believe now, like if you said like top 8, yeah, I don't think so because I don't think that any of the top 8 teams really because like the
New
best
Orleans could.
SEC
New Orleans could go
they
too, maybe.
could, but they also have many other needs, and now they have a franchise quarterback. Well, we have to see it with Tyler Shuck. Um, he did have a really good year last year, but I do need to see it in his sophomore season. Um, New Orleans to me just screams like they have other needs, and the best SEC player that would be taken in the top 10 would be Mansour Delane. And
Jermod McCoy. I
I
know that we were
don't
a little low on Jermod McCoy, but
he's
now that he's
he would
healthy,
be
it appears he's
next.
healthy.
He would be next, but I don't know if we would get 2 corners in the top 10. I know we'll probably McCoy to me would be right after Delane, if anything. And maybe if Delane goes 9 to Kansas City, then the Bengals will be like, well, maybe we can take a corner or but the Bengals just need help on defense in general.
Yeah.
They do have Daxton Hill to play corner this year. And he had a solid season last year. But I'm gonna sell on that just because I believe Delane will be taken at 10. I don't think he gets past Cincinnati.
That's fair. I'm gonna sell on that too, simply because I think Mansour Delane and Jermod McCoy potentially could go in the top 10. I think there's maybe some other players out there. But I do want to pivot because
That's crazy though to think about.
this was my I
It
know.
not it's kind of crazy thing about like the SEC, the big bad SEC every year on all this.
Quite literally
Um,
could not be taken in the top 8.
no,
None of them. And you're
Big Ten
talking
owns college
at
football.
least
The Big Ten owns college basketball, and the Big Ten owns
you're
everything.
talking at least 3, maybe 4 Ohio State players, an Indiana quarterback, potentially 2 Miami players, a Texas Tech player realistically. Um yeah, it's kind of insane how that's flipped.
Might get three. You might get 4 Big Ten players in the top 5.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot of Big Ten teams that had some really damn good players this year,
It's
and it's
kind of
great to see.
and it's kind of crazy to see just the Big 10 anyway just take over college sports entirely. Um
You had UCLA women's team win the national title. You had the Michigan men's team win the national title for basketball, and you had Indiana win the Big Ten title or win the title in football. And I know nobody cares about college hockey, but you have Michigan and Wisconsin in the Frozen Four, who could face off and potentially win another championship for the Big Ten. So yeah, it's been a great year for the Big Ten.
just wait until the Big 10 starts getting NIL for baseball. That's when the real
Yeah.
conversation starts if the Big Ten's really dominant or not. Unironically, my next buy or sell was 2 corners will be taken in the top 10.
I know I kind of said like I don't think that he will, but at the same time, it all depends on how the board falls because um there's so many players that could fall in the top 10
Oh
that
yeah.
you would not expect to. And obviously it'd be Delaney McCoy being back to back. I believe, you know what? I'll buy it. Why not? I'll say 9 and 10. I'll say Kansas City at 9 takes Delane, and I'll say Cincinnati at 10 takes McCoy.
The reason why I'm also buying this is I kind of talked about it, I think, maybe a little last week. If I didn't talk about it on the show, I can't remember. I definitely talked about it off air. Corners usually get mocked a little bit later, but they always seem to go earlier,
Hmm.
typically. Like we saw that. I know people said Derek Stingley may have been mocked in the top 5. I don't think people had him ahead of Sauce Gardner, let alone both of them going number 3 and number 4. Denzel Ward wasn't mocked to go early when he went to Cleveland at 4. A lot of people thought he would go maybe more in the back half of the top 10 at least. The one team I keep circling here that I think could go corner and it could shock people is the Giants at 5. I think that's the absolute ceiling for these guys.
Yeah.
Does it happen? I don't know because I think there's other guys the Giants might like a little more. But I feel like the Giants could surprise and go corner. In my last mock that I did by myself, I have Mansour Delane at 5 to the Giants just because I'm like, I think there's something here possibly.
Hmm.
Um, but I will buy it depending on how the board falls too. I think that I like the Saints a lot for corner. And honestly, I think they could go either Delane or McCoy. I wouldn't be fully shocked if McCoy ended up being the first corner taken, just because, yeah, I know he didn't play all of 2024. I had my questions about him early on in the process. I had him kind of docked down a little bit in my cornerback rankings, but he went out there and he tested and he was very healthy and he ran in the low 4.3s for his 40. He showed a lot when he had his pro day at Tennessee, and it's pretty clear that he's healthy and ready to go. And that 24 tape showed he was one of the best corners in college football, if not the best, outside of guarding Jeremiah Smith. But
Hmm.
that does that to people, you know what I mean? Um, so I could easily see it. I'm buying this one. I am. I think it'll happen. Next one. And it's a position we did talk about last week. And it's one that I think some people might not even have one mocked in the first round, although almost every single draft usually has at least 2 of them. 2 defensive tackles go in round 1, buy or sell.
I'll buy because there's normally defensive line, especially in the later rounds, or not in the later rounds, the later parts of the first round, like 25 through 32. Um, you see a lot of big dudes, offensive linemen, defensive linemen rounding up for these Super Bowl caliber teams who are trying to revamp their lines. So I'll buy. I'll say yeah. I'll say there's at least two who go in the first round.
Well, I'll say this. I do think one ends up in the top 20. I do
Mhm.
think one will go in the top 20 just because I know that there's one team that's currently being mocked, one guy pretty consistently, and that's Minnesota with Dylan Thieneman. But they need defensive tackle maybe more than even safety right now. You could
Yeah,
argue it because of everything that they're dealing with their whole financial situation. It's
because
awful. Then they had to get rid of a lot of their guys up front.
because I do believe Caden McDonald will be a first round pick. And then I do think there's something to be said about possibly Peter Woods being in the late first round,
Peter Woods,
I
I
think.
think Christian Miller could be both of those guys. I
Um,
think could be first rounders.
yeah. Um, but it's that would be nuts for only one tackle.
Yeah.
I feel like there's got to be two. So
There could
I'll
be
buy it.
two. Depends also. I could see a world where some of these teams who might go defensive tackle possibly trade back.
Yeah,
Um,
true.
because like I
Because
think
there's
like
not like I will say this, there's not like a standout defensive tackle in this draft. Caden McDonald is probably the best tackle in this draft, and he's very good, but he's not like a top 15 pick.
no,
He's a very good player, but he's going to be in the later parts of the first round. And then you have Peter Woods from Clemson, who was a solid tackle, was decent, but he's nothing special.
right.
So it's just about needs and it's about the team if there are trade backs, where those teams from 25 to 32 are and what their needs are and what they feel like they can fill them with.
For sure. And speaking about tackles, we're going to move over to the offensive line because I think this draft is very, very filled with offensive linemen
Mhm.
and very good ones. Very good ones. Some pretty overrated too that I feel like could go pretty early. Um, buy or sell a dozen offensive linemen go in round one. I've seen up. I've watched Todd McShay. I'm a big Todd McShay fan. Shout out Todd McShay. Get me a job, please. Um, he's said up to a dozen offensive linemen he thinks could realistically go in round one.
I'm going to sell that. I don't think that'd be insane. I think there's a lot of good. I think there's a couple top heavy offensive linemen. Obviously, Francis Mauigoa and Spencer Fanu are up there. You have the guard from Penn State as well. And then you have a couple guys like Caden Proctor and Blake Miller who are going to be in the latter parts of the first round. 12 is insane.
I agree.
There's so much there's good receivers in this draft. There's so many good defensive players in this draft that I do think will be taken in the first round. I just think that 12 offensive linemen is a little much.
12 offensive linemen might be a little too much. What if I said 10? Would you believe 10?
No.
Still not 10?
I will say 8. I'll say 8 offensive linemen go.
I think it'll be in between there, 8 to 10. I'm on the same page as you. I'm gonna sell that. I think 8 to 10 for sure because I mean you know for a
Could you
fact
imagine
you,
12
you
offensive
right
linemen? That'd be
you you
insane.
know for a fact that Spencer Fano, Francis Maui Noah,
Yep.
those two, Vanga Yawani, they're going. It feels like Monroe Freeland, Caden
Proctor, Monroe
Proctor,
Freeling. You're gonna get
possibly
Chase Basantis is up there.
Basantis, Lomu, maybe Ian
Blake Miller,
Ochor, Blake Miller. I think Blake Miller is actually going to be a lock in the first round.
the
Um,
tackle from Arizona State.
Ian Ochor.
Yeah.
There's on a, and I'll throw out some other names there who could. I think Emmanuel Pregnone, the
Yep.
Oregon guard, could be a first rounder. This name's been thrown out a lot within the last week. The Georgia Tech guard, Keelan Rutledge.
Hmm.
Peter Schrager, I'll give Peter Schrager the benefit of the doubt. He's usually pretty accurate with his mocks, specifically his one that comes out the day before the draft. He usually nails it pretty well, at least positionally. And he had Keelan Rutledge in the first round in his first one. So maybe Keelan Rutledge sneaks in there. There's other offensive tackles too. I mean, we didn't even mention Caleb Lomu, who could be a first rounder.
Yep.
Um, there's a world that could push double digits.
Sam Heck,
I'm
Jennings Dunker.
I'm
I
s-
mean, there's a
yeah.
couple.
I'm gonna sell a dozen though.
Yeah.
because that's a lot. But I expect them all to kind of go on a run here in the first 2 rounds, first
Yes.
2 or 3 rounds. Um,
It's gonna be a lot of offensive linemen taken in the first couple rounds because there's a lot of solid prospects and a lot of really good prospects.
yeah. I have one more here, and we're looking at the wide receivers, and a specific one in particular because I've heard a lot more smoke in the last week for this. Buy or sell, Carnell Tate is taken in the top 5.
Oh, I'm buying that. Yeah, 100%. He would go to Tennessee. I believe Tennessee is obviously an option, and I believe New York is a big option as well. Give a weapon for give another weapon alongside of Malik Neighbors, and let's get this ball rolling. Yeah. He doesn't go past 6. I fully believe if Carnell Tate is there at 6, he's taken by the Browns. Um, but I don't think he does. I think that Tennessee is I believe he's gonna be a Titan. I believe that would be the perfect fit. You can have Cam Ward throwing him the ball. They need some weapons. They need some help on the offense. And, let's get this thing started. And, Brian Dayball's their OC, and we know how he likes to run his offenses, kind of with like Josh Allen and stuff. Josh Allen thrived when he had a wide receiver one. And I believe that Carnell Tate could end up being that wide receiver one for the Titans if Cam Ward takes another step and gives them a weapon. So I believe he'll go 4. If not, he goes 5. And if he doesn't go 5, there's no way in hell he gets past 6.
This one's really tough because I feel like Tennessee could go a multitude of directions. I think they could go Jeremiah Love, the Notre Dame running back. Their offensive line isn't honestly that good either. They could go
No.
offensive line. Um, that wouldn't shock me. They could go defense still too. They could go Sonny Styles. They could go, say, if one of Arvell or David Bailey's still available. They could go that route too, with Robert Saleh, of course, being there. This one's hard for me, but there has been a lot of smoke on this, and I don't necessarily want to agree with you, but I think I'm going to buy it too. I think I'm going to buy it because Tennessee does need more weapons around Cam Ward, but the Giants too. I think the Giants 4 and 5 are the biggest wild cards in this entire draft. I think the
Yeah.
Titans and the Giants could literally go anywhere. And I think they could still get home runs wherever they choose too. Like I
Yeah.
think these two own the draft, in my opinion. Yeah, you have number 1 with the Raiders. I think we all just know what's going to happen there. Number 2, you kind of have maybe a toss up between 2 players, either David Bailey or Arvell Reese. If it's not them, then Arizona. The draft starts with Arizona at number 3,
Mhm.
really, because they could go offensive line. They could trade back. They
They
could
could
even
go
go.
a
They could go
multitude of different
Jeremiah
things.
Love too.
Yeah.
But I think it depends on how the board falls. Maybe they stick with defense there. Um, who knows? We'll have to see how it all plays out. But those
Yeah.
two at 4 and 5, those are the ones that I'm like, I can't really. I don't know. I don't know because there's so many avenues they could go and better their team either way you slice it. So those are the teams that I'm really looking forward to when it comes to draft night. Back in February, you and I released our top 10 college football quarterbacks entering the 2026 season. With the caveat that one guy we didn't know at the time would still be playing college football or not. And now that we know for a fact that Trinidad Chambliss will be the Ole Miss quarterback for next season, I think we have to slightly adjust those today. I think we just have to.
Yeah.
So, give me your new top 10, Spencer.
Hold on, let me pull it up.
And while he pulls that up, subscribe to the channel, please. It helps benefit us greatly. And follow us on our social media at Ball N Beatz Media on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. It is Twitter still. No matter what that X says or what your ex may say. No pun intended.
Okay. All right, let me run through this real quickly. All right, so my updated top 10 because of Trinidad Chambliss, the news of him being granted another year of eligibility, as much as the NCAA really doesn't like it.
Oh, yeah.
Trinidad Chambliss is going to be in my top 10. I believe that that's fair. At number 10, I have Devon Dampier.
Okay.
I have Devon Dampier moving down from 9 to 10. Nothing against him. I have to make room for Trinidad Chambliss, and I believe Devon Dampier, he's going to have a really solid year. I loved what he did at Utah, and I loved him even more at New Mexico. Playing with him on NCAA was fun.
Yes.
The dude
Yes.
was the only good player in that team, but man, he did everything for him.
We got to
So
go to
I had,
Albuquerque at some point, by the way.
yeah,
We have to. I hear Albuquerque's a very underrated town.
very
So,
nice. Yeah, yeah. All right, at number 9, I have Jaden Mayava moving
okay.
down a spot. Jaden Mayava, USC's QB last year, had a really solid year. Lane Kiffin knows what to do with his quarterbacks. He showed a lot of promise last year with that offense. USC is going to be. They were good last year. They were ranked a couple times, and I believe they're going to be in that range again. I don't think they're like a playoff team per se, but I do think that Mayava, if he takes another step forward, that they could have a shot of maybe squeaking in there. There's just so many good Big Ten teams that I need to see more from USC outside of the quarterback position. And for now, I'll just have Mayava at 9. Number 8, I have CJ Carr. I have Notre Dame's quarterback. CJ Carr had a phenomenal freshman year at Notre Dame. He's going to be playing pissed off next year. And because of what
And with a
happened,
very easy schedule to boot. So,
yeah, well, Notre Dame always has an easy schedule.
that's not true.
they,
That's not
they,
true, to be honest with you. It's really not. I mean, they had Miami and
uh,
A&M in week 1, week 2 last year, and they,
yeah,
you
then what
know,
happened after that? What happened
exactly.
after
They didn't make the playoff because of it, because they
that?
didn't play.
Exactly. Yeah,
So,
because
this
they
year,
lost the 2 games that were their, for their
you're right.
playoffs.
You're right. But
So,
this year, it is very true. This year, it's
yeah.
100% true. That's sentiment. So,
Yeah. All right. At number 7, I have Sam Levitt. I have LSU's quarterback. This is a little bit to do with what he showed at Arizona State, but a lot to do with what I believe he's going to be doing under Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin's quarterbacks, obviously, we saw with Trinidad Chambliss and Jackson Dart at Ole Miss, Matt Corral. He knows how to play the QB system, and he knows how to get them to thrive.
yeah.
He loves to throw the ball, and he loves play act. He loves downfield receivers as well. And I believe that Sam Levitt's going to be having that at LSU, and I believe he's going to have a really solid year. So I have Sam Levitt at 7. At number 6, I have Darian Mensah. I have Miami's
Hey.
quarterback. The whole thing that happened with Duke, saying, yeah, I'm going to come back, signing in the thing, signing a contract saying, yeah, I'm coming back. And then
Yes.
him deciding to, not come back. That was kind of crappy, but I don't think Miami cares. They got their quarterback, and I think Miami will be good again next year. Number 5, I have Brendan Sorsby. I have Texas Tech's quarterback. From Cincinnati via Indiana. Sorsby had a really, really good year with Cincinnati. Cincinnati was a really up and down team. They had a couple good wins and a couple bad losses. But Sorsby was their bright spot. He was their,
Yeah.
he read the field very well. He's a very accurate passer. And while he's not like a mobile quarterback, he can run the ball sometimes. And I believe with Texas Tech, he will thrive in that system.
It's true.
So I will have
Imagine if
Sorsby.
they beat Nebraska last year. I think that could have actually catapulted them even farther. I think we
Yep.
had Cincinnati. I think ranked a couple times throughout the year, and it felt like they could have been one of those sneaky teams last year in the Big 12 before we got to the back half of the year where they lost, I think, 5 of their last 7. So, I like Sorsby. a lot. And see, here's the thing. I'm going to throw this out here. He's still not in my top 10 right now. He wasn't in there the last time, and he still won't be. Just because I don't know how much of an improvement he really is from Baron Morton yet. It remains to be seen.
Yeah.
Remains to be seen, but continue.
Number 4, I have Arch Manning. Arch Manning had a really up and down year. Towards the end, he progressed a lot better and he looked a lot more comfortable. But at the beginning, he looked rough. He did not look like the Heisman Trophy winner that everyone was hyping him up to be at Texas. He did not look right against in that game against Ohio State. And even a couple games after that, they just never got their stride until they hit midseason after that Florida loss and kind of hit their stride after that. He had some really good games. I believe he will be a very good quarterback. He just needs to get the consistency down. Number 3, this is where I have Trinidad Chambliss. Um, Trinidad Chambliss was phenomenal last year. And I think people forget. I mean, that playoff game against Georgia, he could do no wrong.
That was
This
one of the
dude was
greatest.
everywhere.
That was maybe the greatest individual quarterback playoff performance since Justin Fields against Clemson.
It was phenomenal. I've never seen, yeah, like I said, since Justin Fields, I had never seen anything like it. Um, he was everything for that Ole Miss offense, and he willed them to that win over Georgia. And he did everything he could in that game against Miami. It just didn't work out, but he's going to be back this year, and I do believe he's going to have another really big year this year
Yes.
because he's proven a lot. From Ferris State, and I believe he's going to take another step. So yeah, Trinidad Chambliss is a top 3 quarterback in college football. Um, and then my 1 and my 2 aren't changing. Julian Saint at 2 and Dante Moore at 1. I believe Dante Moore is the best quarterback in college football this year. He showed so much promise at Oregon. I believe another year under Dan Lanning is going to be really good for him in this system. I believe he's going to learn a lot, and I believe that Oregon's going to have a really phenomenal year this year. And same thing with Julian Saint with Ohio State. I just think Moore's a little better, and Julian Saint really – those last 2 games, my opinion changed a little bit on him
Yeah.
because of that. Now, I still think he's an elite quarterback. I still think he's one of the best quarterbacks in college football, but I need to see more from him. I need to see more poise. I need to see him read the field better. I need to see him not make as many mistakes, not get off to a slow start, not have to start the game off with an interception to settle down. He needs to settle down. That's his main thing. He gets too antsy and he tries to force it, and it ends up not working because Sand threw some of the most beautiful balls I've ever seen. That one he had was against Wisconsin, a Carnell Tate, was picture perfect. It was amazing.
Yeah.
I need to see that Julian Sand back.
That's fair. That is fair. Number 10. I can't move him out. I just can't move this guy out just because I just believe in him. I believe in the coaching staff at this school. I believe in Byron Brown. Byron Brown is staying in the top 10. I believe in Auburn this year a little bit. Maybe not, playoff or anything like that. But watching Byron Brown is so fun, man. Yeah, he needs to be a little bit better of a passer, but he's so exciting, dude. His running ability is next level. I love him. I love Byron Brown. I can't move him out the top 10. I am buying all the Byron Brown stock.
Mm-hmm.
Number 10 there. Number 9 will adjust Sam Levitt down from number 8 to number 9, booting out entirely Gunnar Stockton. Gunnar Stockton is no longer in the top 10. Sam Levitt at number 9. I have a little bit more pause with Sam Levitt than you do simply because of his injury past with Arizona State. So he's docked a little bit because of that. But
Mm-hmm.
obviously, we saw when he was there when he had Jordan Tyson and when he had Cam Scattaboo, specifically in 24, 25, when they made the playoff, you kind of saw the best of Sam Levitt. I expect that to continue at LSU. Now, I still have a little bit more questions about them this year, although it feels like LSU should be fighting for a playoff spot this year too. So, number 8, adjusting down one spot, is Jaden Mayava from number 7. I like Mayava a lot. I like USC a lot. They have the number 1 recruiting class in the country coming into this year. It feels like their defense is maybe set. It feels like, yeah, they are losing Mekhi Lemon and Jacoby Lane, but they still have weapons out there. I like USC a ton to take
Mm-hmm.
that next step this year in the Big Ten. So Jaden Mayava goes to 8. I could see him being much higher than this, though. I think he has a very high ceiling. Um, Number 7, adjusting down one spot as well, is Josh Hoover, the Indiana quarterback. Your beloved favorite quarterback, honestly, in college football, I think, over the last year or two. Um, he's going to a pretty friendly system that he'd be very similar with because of TCU doing RPOs the second most in the country compared to Indiana doing it more than anybody. And I think when I'm kind of just looking at the questions people might have for Fernando Mendoza in the NFL, that could be part of it because of the RPO style of offense for Indiana, but it's friendly for the quarterback. Um, I expect that to continue with Josh Hoover, and I think it'll bring out the best of him being with Kurt Signetti. So Josh Hoover is there at 7. Number 6, adjusting down one spot as well, is Arch Manning. Arch Manning is now outside the top 5. That doesn't mean he won't be by the end of the year. We saw his best play at the end of 2025. We saw it in the bowl game against Michigan. We saw it in the last month of the season. Can that continue? And can he grow from it still? Arch Manning could still end up by the end of the year being the number 1 quarterback in this class. I think everyone's like, oh yeah, he's easily the number 1 quarterback in this class. Everyone's been saying that since he got on campus. Pause a little bit. Let's watch him play still. Let's watch him play because we saw some bad. We saw some bad. Well, we started to see the good at the end of the year. Arch Manning here at 6. Number 5, this is where I fill it in. Trinidad Chambliss at number 5. He could be higher, but I really like the 4 in front of him a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
But Trinidad Chambliss, at his best, was the best quarterback last year in college football. I don't think you can argue that. The way he played in the playoff was
phenomenal,
absolutely legendary. The plays he made were like Patrick Mahomes. I hate using. He's a little Patrick Mahomes.
He's a little Mahomie.
But he was though. He made everything happen for those Rebels teams, man. It was so fun to watch. It was so fun to watch. He has to be in the top 5. At number 4, through 1 is staying the exact same. Number 4, I'm really high on this kid. You and I have talked a little bit about it last week. I have Darian Menza at 4, but I think Mensa can be higher than this. And I think people need to watch his tape back at Tulane. They need to watch his tape at Duke because I think he could be a top 3 quarterback when it comes to draft time in 2027. And now he's got his best supporting cast in Miami. And he's got his number 1 target from Duke coming with him as well. So get on the Darian Mensa train while you can. I know what you want to say about the way he left Duke, the way he left Tulane, all of that, whatever. But that's just where we are right now. That's just what college
Tulane's
athletics
different.
is.
I mean, Tulane was Tulane, but Duke, he had the signing. He signed the contract saying he was coming back.
Right. No, yeah, I know. Yeah, signed a contract with them, and then Miami said, nah, you can break that. Here's the money. We'll even pay for you to leave Duke. Come on now. But I like Darian Mensa a ton. At number 3, CJ Carr. I think CJ Carr is going to take a massive jump this season, and he still performed pretty well last year. And I think this is partially to do with Notre Dame's schedule for me putting him this high because I do think he will just perform that good with this schedule. And then I have the same top 2. Number 2, Julian Sand. Number 1, Dante Moore. I do believe Dante Moore is the best in the country coming into this year. Now we'll have to see if that does end up playing out that way. But Oregon, the one question I have about Oregon is their offensive line because they are losing Pregnon. They are losing Isaiah World. But I don't think it's Oregon. They recruit very well. They could be even better on the offensive line next year. That's just one spot I'm looking at for questions for them. But they're bringing back practically their entire defensive line, which is the best thing for them. And Dante Moore should be a Heisman favorite, one of the Heisman favorites for next year. So
yes,
those are my top 10 quarterbacks officially, if you will, for both of us coming into this year.
The official rankings.
Want to talk just a little bit about some spring ball here. There's one player, and I'm going to Columbus for this. There's one player that's turning heads in practice right now down in Columbus, Ohio. It is a freshman wide receiver. It's not the freshman wide receiver you would think, though. We're talking Brock Boyd, the white boy from Texas, is turning
Hmm.
heads. In the sixth practice, he lost his black stripe.
Wow.
Jeremiah Smith lost his in like 3 or 4. So if that tells you anything about Brock Boyd, he's killing it right now in Ohio State practices. It just goes to show that Ohio State is just wide receiver you, right? Is
Doesn't
Brock
matter who
Boyd?
the coach is.
You're talking he's a true slot receiver. So who knows? Maybe him and Brandon Ennis will rotate around this year. Um, yeah, Brock Boyd has been absolutely killing it down in Columbus. I think he's going to get some serious play time his freshman year as well.
Mhm.
Look this dude
I
up.
have heard a little bit about that through like 11 Warriors and stuff. About them talking about Brock Boyd, and Chris Henry Jr. obviously, but the fact that he lost his in a sixth practice is nuts.
Chris Henry Jr. still has his. So
Yeah,
if that tells you anything.
that tells you anything. I will always expect big things from OSU wide receivers because of the system that they built of great receivers every single year, developing them. And even though Brian Hartline is gone, um, the system is still in place for them to continue doing this. Recruiting is going to be something different. I do think recruiting will be something that, won't be as easy with Brian Hartline, but developing will never be an issue with this team
No.
because the Ryan Day system, he develops receivers and they go on to the NFL and do pretty good for themselves. Um, so when I heard about Brock Boyd, I got excited because they lost 2 5-star wide receivers to Notre Dame
Mm-hmm.
in the transfer portal. So now they need these guys to come in and make an impact. And I believe Chris Henry Jr. is going to make a massive impact on this team next year, as well as now Brock Boyd coming up and taking us another spot.
They still have Kyle Parker and Devin McEwen that they got
Yep.
in the transfer portal too. So
Yep.
I think the questions that us as Ohio State fans had about the depth problems, I don't think they're as big of an issue, honestly. Maybe for the defensive line, but even then, I still think guys like James Smith are going to perform a little bit better. I think it'll be
Yeah.
him and Edric Houston up front there at the starting D tackle spot, or John Walker, the UCF kid.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, you did lose Caden Curry at edge. I think edge I have a bigger question for. You do have Quay Rousseau who came over from Alabama too, but you're gonna have to just perform. And of course you're losing Caleb Downs. Honestly, that's the real question. But it sounds like Earl Little Jr. has outperformed as well. He showed his depth, and I'm pretty certain he lost his black stripe already too.
Mhm.
Um, Earl Little Jr., the former Florida State Seminole,
The safety. Yeah.
and then the other Moore, if I'm not mistaken. There's another Moore kid. I forgot the name. Dude from Duke. Kid from Duke.
Oh,
He's going to be pretty good.
yeah, I know who you're talking about.
I can't forget it.
Yeah.
I'm forgetting his first name off the top of my head right now, but I think Ohio State's pretty set there. I think Ohio
Yes.
State's pretty set. Um, and of course, I will be at the Toledo spring game here on April 18th. I will get to look into a deep dive of this Toledo team. It'll be intriguing because the entire roster's pretty much flipped on its head for the Rockets going into this year. Um, but I would love to see Andrew Zock in person. That's what I'm here for. And then I'll have to come back and report on how Andrew Zock does for everybody. It feels like it's got to be John Allen Richter right now at quarterback, right? Until kind of proven otherwise.
Uh,
I, you know,
I'm not like it's fine. I'm sure Alan Richter will be decent. If Mike Jacobs likes him, but Braden Atkinson would have been so nice.
I'm not disagreeing, man. I'm not
Dude, it
disagreeing.
would have
Bringing him.
been so nice to get him, but he went to Oregon State.
He just wanted to wear
Sure.
orange again. That's okay. People can wear
Yeah.
orange. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. It sucks. It doesn't suck. But your boy Dickens, did he even
Teron
go
Dickens,
anywhere?
North Carolina.
Oh, he did go to UNC. Okay.
Teron Dickens.
I didn't know if he
It
ended up
took
going
him so
somewhere or not.
long. It took him like over almost 2 months to get to a school. I was
That's
like,
what I
what's
was thinking because
happening?
I looked and I'm like, okay, I haven't heard anything about this dude. And I remember you were high because he
See
had
what
like 38 touchdowns and 2 interceptions at was it Western
Western
Carolina?
Carolina. Why do you think I'm rocking the Tar Heel shirt today, man? I'm repping my
Yeah.
boy Teron Dickens. Um, but yeah, I could not believe the fact that it took him that long to get to a school based off his film, based off his stat sheet, even just all of it. I was like, how's this kid still in the portal? But he's at North Carolina. Um, I can't remember who else is at North Carolina because I know Gio Lopez is not back. I don't think anymore.
No.
Um, I'm gonna quickly do some research on it, and while I do, Spencer, tell him.
You all should follow the Ball and Beats Media. And it's so used saying podcasts when you do it for so long, but you guys should follow Ball and Beats Media, subscribe to our channel, hit the push notification, like us, tell all your friends about us, and be sure to follow us on all of our social media platforms.
The North Carolina quarterbacks are Billy Edwards Jr. and Teron Dickens for next season.
Maryland legend Billy Edwards Jr., I'm
Billy
pretty sure.
Edwards Jr., the former Terrapin,
Yep.
and Teron Dickens. Honestly, Teron Dickens' job to lose at that point.
Ron Dickens and Bill Belichick, baby.
I'm here for it. Honestly, I
And
think
Bobby Petrino.
Teron Dickens is leading the North Carolina Tar Heels to the playoff. Honestly, buy your stock now.
Oh my
Buy the
gosh, dude.
stock now, okay? I haven't heard much about North Carolina's quarterback situation since they're down there. I would have to assume at this point, probably it's Billy Edwards Jr., but it should be Teron Dickens. Um, that's just my guess, but
That's
I think
crazy.
Dickens might be better. It's just my opinion.
That's crazy.
Before we end the show today, I kind of want to do a little reaction too. I want to
Okay.
get some thoughts because yesterday I released my top 100 NFL draft prospect board.
Mm-hmm.
I want your opinion on some. Who am I too high on? Who am I too low on? Who are guys you're like, why are they even in here? What do you know? Do you even know ball? You know what I mean? Just pick my brain a little bit. Critique me.
I think you're high on Jordan Tyson, for one. I like Jordan Tyson. I think 5 is a little bit too much though. But that's like picking a little bit. It's I would have had him probably like I would have probably had him at like 13 or 14. I think that's a little high for him.
I think he's the
Um,
true wide receiver one in this draft class. Now, I get the reasons why others wouldn't be as high because of the durability concerns. I think it's a little overblown with Tyson, though, in my opinion. I get the questions, but dude also had almost 2,000 yards receiving in the last 2 seasons. He obviously had to play some football. You know what I mean? To get
Yeah.
almost 2,000 yards in the last 2 years. Um,
I also think you're a little high a little high on Malachi Lawrence. I'm not really high on him, to be honest
really.
with you. He's an older guy because he was in college football in 2021.
So was Akeem
And
Mesidor.
wow,
Mesidor's an
yeah,
old
I
guy.
know, and I that's why no, like Mesidor is going to be 25 when he gets drafted. Um,
Brandon Whedon was 28 as a first round quarterback. I'm just saying, who cares about age at this point? And
no,
if
age
players
matters because I don't want an older guy.
if players are going to stay another year in college anyway, like what's the biggest issue? Like look at Joe Burrow was what 23 when he was drafted.
That's
Jane Daniels was
different.
23,
20,
24. How's it
yeah.
different? How's it different? Because he's
23 is a lot different than 25. That's 2 years. When Joe Burrow was 25, he was in the Super Bowl.
I don't think it. I don't think it's that different personally. When it like if it's like 27, okay, now
Hey
you're
man, if
pushing
you
it.
want to draft a team full of 25 and 26-year-olds and at the end of their rookie deals they're going to be 30, you go ahead.
Well, that's kind of what's happened now with the age of name, image, and likeness in college football, and also the transfer portal where guys can, you know. Also, I have to end the show with this at this point, but when you have guys on like their sixth and seventh school because they have, all the red shirts, the medical red shirt, normal red shirt, injuries, and then you could just go to a court and just be like, "Hey, I need to play more."
Yeah.
And I'm gonna lose financially because of this. Um, you're gonna see that more. But now, of course, maybe because of certain things that have happened in the legal system, maybe we won't see it get as bad as it had been. Um, that's fair. I get the questions about Malachi Lawrence and him being older, but his tape, I think he's raw a little bit, but I love him a lot. I think he could be a first round pick.
You love him
Honestly,
because he's raw.
I love him
Nice.
because he's
I
yes,
also
that's
think you're a
exactly.
little high on Skylar Bell, but
Now,
that's
now I understand. I understand because I think I'm the most bullish when it comes to Skylar Bell.
you like love this dude from UConn. Like
I do. He was a okay. Let's just tell the people. I have Skylar Bell, the UConn wide receiver, as my 5th overall wide receiver in this draft class. He is number 29 on my draft board. He was one of the more productive wide receivers the last 2 years in college football. He was a Biletnikoff Award finalist this past year. Mekhi Lemon, Jeremiah Smith, Skylar Bell. Okay. He transferred from Wisconsin, went to UConn, and absolutely balled out. And the thing is, when you turn on the tape and watch Skylar Bell, everyone knew the ball was going to Skylar Bell, and they didn't stop him. Didn't matter who it was. Turn on that Syracuse tape. He dogged Syracuse. Now I know it's Syracuse we're talking about here, but turn on that tape. Watch Skylar Bell. Skylar Bell was a
it's
different breed.
Syracuse, my friend.
That's why I said it's Syracuse. But Syracuse now with Vince Kiris, that defense is going to be nasty. The
Yeah.
Toledo defensive coordinator, and they now have Brian Blair, the Toledo athletic director. So we'll see what happens with Syracuse football with them controlling them now. But I'm just hop on the Skylar Bell train while you can because I warned you. And when you don't, and then you see how good this dude turns out to be in the NFL, just know I told you so. Just know I told you so. Now, here's the thing. Historically speaking, I have been very wrong on wide receivers. Um, that's one position that I have been wrong about is the wide receiver position a lot. So me having Tyson at number 1 and having Skylar Bell in my top 5, some people might be like, "What are you talking about, bro?" That's what I like. I think those guys on tape are that good. Now, there's other people. I mean, you could question. Like some people might throw Denzel Boston up there. I have Denzel Boston directly behind him. I think he's very good still. Um, I like the Louisville receiver Chris Bell a
Yep.
lot too. I think if he didn't tear
You
his
love the
ACL,
Bells.
I do love the Bells. Ain't nothing wrong with Bells. If he didn't tear his ACL at the end of the season, I think Chris Bell might be a first round wide receiver. He had his best year of production last year at Louisville. People might be higher on Jeremy Bernard, Casey Concepcion. The thing is with Concepcion that I don't like as much is the drop balls.
Mhm.
Um, and I don't think he is as okay. His get off is great. He gets off faster than maybe anybody in the class. Um, but I just don't necessarily like his top end speed. If that makes sense. Once he gets the ball in his hands, I don't know. I'm kind of I've got questions about Casey Concepcion a little bit. Jeremy Bernard, the Bama wide receiver, is so boring, but in the best way possible. If that makes sense. Like you could fall asleep
He's
watching
just
his tape,
good.
but he's
That's
just
it.
good. He's a solid wide receiver. He does nothing bad. He does nothing great. But he does everything good enough, is how I feel about Jeremy Bernard.
Sometimes all you need is good.
Hey man, I know some people might question the fact that I also have Monroe Freeling at 41 overall, but I think you and I are maybe in more agreement with that than others.
Yeah.
And the fact that I have Caden Proctor not in my top 60.
Well, I don't like Kenny Proctor, but he's gonna be a Lion, so everything's gonna be great. Can't wait.
We're here for it. We're here for
No, we're not.
Caden Proctor to be a Detroit Lion. We're going to manifest it together, okay?
No, I don't want.
We're going to pray on it. We're going to pray on Caden
No.
Proctor being a Detroit Lion. Okay? Just soak it in. All I got to say is if Cleveland does that at 6, some bad things might happen, okay?
Caden Proctor at 6.
If Caden Proctor does go at 6, some bad things might happen. Now, let me just before we end the show, I just have to say there's nothing wrong with Caden Proctor. It's just what you've done on tape. That's just
because you're
showed that
big doesn't mean you're a good old lineman.
it hasn't translated yet, man. It just hasn't for me to think you should be a top 15, top 20 pick. I have to face the reality of it. I think he's going in the first round just because of his ceiling. It's almost like he's one of those guys where it's like if he just tried a little harder, you know what I mean? It doesn't feel like he's
Yeah.
tried enough. He's lost a lot of weight already. He was over 350, pushing 360. I think he weighed in at the combine around the 340, 335 range, somewhere in between there. If he plays at that weight, and if he just gets a little more agile and really utilizes his true power that he has, because that he might be the strongest dude in the class if he really played like it.
Yeah.
Then you're talking about a great offensive lineman, guy who's going to be a cornerstone for the next decade and a half on a team's offensive line. Then all means, Caden Proctor's your guy. But the tape doesn't show that yet. The tape doesn't show it yet.
Sure.
Caden Proctor, welcome to Allen Park, Michigan. Welcome to Allen.
He's gonna be an
Park,
All-Pro year one.
Michigan.
Can't wait. He's gonna somehow be like a Pro Bowler or an All-Pro.
Maybe. We'll have to see. Well, that's going to wrap up episode 28 of the Scoop and Score Football Show. Next week, we will be back with more drama, more NFL draft tea leaves, maybe some more college football content as well. The NFL draft, 2 weeks away.
2 weeks away.
Mock draft episode will be coming the day before the NFL draft does take place. And just to throw this nugget out there, we have it set. We have it set in stone. And we are
perfect
ready.
draft.
We are ready to bring that out to you guys at some point here soon. For Spencer, I am Logan. We will see you guys next week. Take care. Peace out.
Peace.